Hello and welcome to my design tutorial. Today I'm going to create this dashboard showing the sales report, customer acquisition, promotion, items around promotions. It's more like a sales company dashboard that shows pending items, processing. So let's say Jumia, Alibaba, they might need of dashboards like this that represent their performance. So this is what we're going to do here today. So let's get right into it. First thing first is to go get our frame here. If you've not watched all of my tutorials, I have up to 30 UI tutorials that I'm going to be uploading, or I've already started uploading, and you can learn UI design skills and design so many websites and mobile applications, and you can have all of that in your portfolio as a UI design skills that you have. So I'm going to click on frame here, and I'm going to go to this right hand side and select desktop. So let's title our desktop to, let's say, sales performance, right? So it's more than sales performance. This dashboard shows pending items, processing items, shipped items, return items, stop products. So just bear in mind that whatever you are going to visualize or represent on the UI has to be information that has been provided by, let's say, the product manager or the business, and they think that this is what they want to see. If they provided me with another information, I will change it, but my job is to make sure that it's easily available to them, it's aesthetically pleasing, it's user friendly, they don't have any difficult interpreting any data that they see right in front of them, because everything has been simplified. So I'm going to go ahead. Remember that we always use grid layout. So I have a tutorial where I showed you my grid lines, what I use. So I'm going to go right into it. I'm going to copy my logo here. By the way, the name of my company is Hello Dreams, so I try to edit most of my UI design just to have this logo here, Hello Dreams. And again, I created this logo, this simple logo, in Figma, right? So Figma is actually a very powerful tool, and you can do so much with Figma. All right, so let's get right into more work. So I'm going to select another frame here, and I'm going to drag it to this section. Then I'm going to go to fill section and add a color here. However, the main frame, which is the desktop that was selected, is actually still in white, but we're going to change the color to, let's give it a different color, which is F6. Or let's not waste our time, let's just take our color picker and go and pick the color from here. Right, so for this frame here, I'm going to give it a width of 272. Make sure the height is the same with the frame here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy this section here, and I'm going to replace it. Now let's remove this here, select my frame, and I paste it. So when you want to paste something, I want it to be at exactly where it was, where it's coming from. Just hold on to the frame, the main frame where you're pasting it, and just paste it, and it settles there. Right, so we can move this. So let's type our menu overview. Let's click on T, menu. So for this menu, right, I'm using a Sophia Sans 8, but I'm not going to use this color here. I'm going to give it a color because there are other important items that I want people to focus on. Let me call it, we have this color, but I'm using this color. I clicked on the plus this board here because I want to add it to my library, and I'm going to call it, let's just give it any name here. So this is good. I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm going to write overview, but I'm going to go back and change the color to not black. I always have a color that is black but is not so black, because I don't like using pure black. Then after overview, we have sales performance. I'm just going to type all of this. We have sales performance, orders, products, right? So I've created all the text that we have here. So the next thing we're going to do is to add icons beside them. So I'm going to right click on my mouse, go to plugins, and then go to Iconify. If you don't have Iconify, just go to manage plugins and type Iconify. I'm going to look for icons that goes well with what I have on the dashboard here. So I'm going to type overview. Let's see if it will give us something. So for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm just going to use any of these icons here. but you need to figure out, make more research to know what icon is applicable to any of this icon. So I'm going to select this one and hold on to shift key, select the other one and click shift A. Then I'm going to try to align it to the center here. The spacing between the two, I want it to just be, let's give it a 12. I want the spacing. All right, so remember that we're not using pure black. You can see this is not pure black, but this is pure black. So we're going to go ahead and give this one the same color of this one. Now this is better. For sales performance, let's see. Sales performance icon should be something like, let's use the word performance and see what we get. So I think I'm good with this one. No, but remember, we have to use the same icon in the same icons that are of the same style. So this particular one is filled, is more like a filled icon, right? This one is more like it's just the edges, it's not filled, just the edges that are filled. So I'm going to use this one. But so the simpler way to do this is, let's say you duplicate all the tests that you have here, but duplicate it with the icon itself, so that you can hold on to any of the icons while you're making change. Hold on to any of the, let's say you right click into the icon, you can just go to iconify and select the icon, and it automatically pastes and replaces the one that you have going on there. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and group this. Then I'm going to also change the color of this one to black. I'm going to find icons for all of them, and I am going to use it. Let's use this one. This is store performance. Another way to make this work easier is if you had created an auto layout with all of this. If you had created an auto layout with the test, then you can simply just drag an icon and it fits right into it. So we're going to make adjustment to all of them. All right, so let's find icon that will suit customers or users. Let's use the word users. Okay, this is fine. I'm going to import it here, drag it up. No, this is not the one I clicked. So I'm going to import it right here. So I'm going to click on K just to scale it down. Going to bring it here. Then I'm going to make sure I select this constraint proportion here and change the size to, let's give it a 20. So I'm going to select the both of them, click shift A to add an auto layout. And the reason you're not seeing the options here that you can use to maybe change the spacing here is because now we're using the scale tool. But if we want to go back to our design, we go back to move tool. So I'm going to give it a spacing of 12. Same here, spacing of 12, and that. So analytics, let's find what works for analytics. Okay, this will work. Let's bring this in here. I'm going to drag it down and reduce it to a 20. Select the both of them, create an auto layout and give it a spacing of 12. So for discounts, let's see what we can find for discounts. So for purpose of this tutorial, let's use any icon. But most of the time what I do is just to do a lot of research to determine which of the icons are suitable, right? So I'm bringing this here and I'm giving it a spacing of 12. I think we're good to go here. I'm going to ungroup this, ungroup it, and I'm going to select everything here and then create an auto layout. Give the spacing of 48. 48 is good. So help center should also get an icon. Help center, let's find customer service icon. Right, so let's try to go with this. Right, but I'm going to ungroup this first. Select the ungroup this again, select the both of them, create an auto layout. Then for profile, I'm going to go with this one. Let's bring it out, create an auto layout between the two, give it a spacing of 12. This also has a spacing of 15. Let's change it to 12. Select the both of them, create an auto layout. Select this to create an auto layout and move it to the top left alignment. The spacing between them should be, let's give it an 18. What did we give it here? So for this one, the spacing between the both of them should be, let's maintain it 24 then. So I'm going to select the both of them, select this one and create an auto layout. The spacing between the both of them can be a 48. Then I'm going to center align it. Alright, so we're good to go with this one. So the next thing we're going to do is to try to create those cards that we have top there. Now to create let's create this ones first. This ones that we have here. So I'm going to click on T on my keyboard and I'm going to type search. I'm going to leave it at 16, create an auto layout there, and I'm just going to give this a 4, give this a 2. But I'm going to right click on my mouse and go to plugins and go to hero icon and find the search icon. I'm going to remove it from the frame that it comes with. I'm going to chuck it in here. I'm going to try to reduce the size of this search icon just so it becomes proportionate with the search text. So let's give it a 16 or a 14, which is fine. The fill is too much. Let's make it a 1. The stroke around it, which is fine. So we're going to go and change our color to not black. So we have this here. Let's create a rectangle. I'm going to create a rectangle now. Let's create a rectangle. Let's give it a width of 292. Then let's give it a height of 48. Then for the fill, let's give it this fill F1, F4, FB. Okay, so the reason you're not seeing this now is because this rectangle is in this frame. Let me close this dashboard so you can see. This rectangle now is not on the parent frame, this sales performance desktop that we have here. It went to attach itself to this particular frame. It is on it, right? However, it went to attach itself on this frame. So until I bring it to this frame where it is from this layers panel, if you can look at this panel here, you will see it. Till I remove it from this place. Now it has removed this here because I dragged it out again. Then you can see it. So let's go ahead and round the corners to 10. And let's chuck in the frame that we created. I'm going to go ahead and group this. Just going to leave it here. But let's give it some stroke because I'm not seeing it very well. Let's give it a bit of stroke. For the stroke, let's go with this color AC. Alright. So this one should not have a stroke. Let's close this. Let's just remove it. Right. So remember, I'm going to, let's frame it, which is okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is to create this date thing that we have going on here. So we said last 7 days, right? Last 7 days. So I want to change this to a calendar. So I'm going to go to, let's go to Iconify. It's easier to find calendar in Iconify. So I've chucked it in here. I'm going to go ahead and reduce this for a bit to, let's give it an 18. Then the spacing between these two, yeah, can still be 10. I'm going to go ahead and introduce an icon here, which is the drop down icon. I'm going to type drop down. So I don't like any of these drop downs, but let's just make do with it for now. So I'm going to right click here and select bring to front. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this panel to make sure that this icon now is inside this frame here. This is the frame. So when I hover around it here, you can see that it's inside the frame. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and change the color to our not black. Let's align it. Yes. All right, I think we're good. I'm going to create an auto layout now, and I am going to increase the spacing just a bit, or let's reduce it. Let's put on our grid lines and know what we're doing. So let's start from here, this line here. All right, okay, it's good. Let's turn off this grid line so we can see what we have. So for this other one, I've created this section in my other videos. You can check out my other videos just to see what we did. I'm going to create an auto layout with it too, and I've centered it. All right, so just because I use this type of drop down here, I would like to use it across where I'm working, and that's how I operate. I don't like using different types of icon. I like using the same style. Rather, I don't like using this different styles. I like using the same style. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to click on F on my keyboard. I want to start working on this section now. I'm just going to click on F on my keyboard, and I'm going to draw a small frame, and I'm going to add a few color to it, which comes automatically as white. So the next thing I'll do is to let's give it a width of 240. For the height, let's leave it at 132. So we're going to go ahead and round the corners. Let's give it a 10. All right, appeared within size very well, so let's give it a 240. All right, so we're good. So the next thing is to create those illustrations that we have here. I'm just going to hit R on my keyboard, and I'm going to drag. I'm going to just give it a width of 76. For the height, I'm going to give it a 60. So however, the corner radius, let's just leave it at 4, and I'm going to change the color to purple here, but I'm going to reduce the opacity. All right, so these icons you're seeing here, however, let's just try and put in the text that we have here. So I'm going to click on T on my keyboard, and I'm going to type let's start with pending, but I'm going to make it a bold, and I'm going to change the color to what we've been using here, this particular color. I used it in stroke here, AC. I'm going to change this color to that. All right, then I'm going to duplicate this and type, let's say we have 400 weighting, but I'm going to change the color of this one to the color to our not black. Then I'm going to increase the font to 20. All right, this one is in 18. It's supposed to be 18, but let's leave it at 16, or let's try 18. Okay, 18 is good. So I'm going to go ahead and select the both of them and create an auto layout. Right, the spacing between them, I think 8 is good. Then I'm going to select this one and click on auto layout again, The spacing is, let's give it an 18. Alright, can see that is not really aligned, so we're going to come to this auto layout section and we're going to align it. Right, so let's select this frame here and make sure that it's aligned to the parent frame. Let's click on align horizontally and also align vertically. I think we're good. So where I got these icons that I used here, I got them from this website. This is the website, Maxi Pixels, so you can search for them and find the icons. So I'm just going to go ahead and paste the icon here. No, let me try this. All right, let's do absolute position and then paste the icon here. So what I'm going to do again now is to duplicate this into 3 sections. Select the 3 of them, create an auto layout. Let's give it the spacing here. Now let's make this 4. There are 4 items that we have. So for the spacing, let's give it 24. So let's put in on our grid lines and be sure that everything is aligned. So I'm going to make sure it's here. The spacing between this one and this one is a 64. So I'm going to make it a 68. But let's reduce the spacing. I think it's too much. Let's give it a 62. All right. Yep, I think we're good. Maybe we should add a bit of spacing because there's still space left here. Let's give it a 28. Yep, this feels okay. All right, so that's how you create the section. Let's go ahead and create the other sections. Next thing we're going to do is to create all these frames that we have here. There are 4 frames here that contain several reportings. So I'm going to click on R on my keyboard and I am going to drag the first frame. So the first frame, the width is 318, while the height is 724. Right. So I'm going to go ahead and add the fill color here. So I'm going to duplicate this here by holding on to my Option Alt key, and I'm going to also create this frame here. So for this frame, the width is 508, while the height, I gave it a height of 318. So I am going to duplicate this. So the spacing between these two, I want to leave it, let's start with 28. We might bring it down. While the spacing between these two, let's give it 28 too. Let's take it up. All right, let's start by increasing the spacing here, reducing the spacing here. Let's give it a 48, and for this spacing here, let's give it a 32. Let's go up a bit. For this two, let's give it a 32 still. Well, let's give it a 28 for starters. So I'm going to duplicate this one by holding onto my Option key and then dragging it. Then the other line that we have going on here, so I'm going to duplicate this and go ahead to reduce the width to be a 296, then the height is 318. So let's zoom in and make sure that everything is snapped in place. Right, so I'm going to go ahead and reduce this a bit. So for this one, let's zoom in again and make sure that this is snapped in place. I'm just adjusting it with my mouse. All right, so let's remove our grid line just so we see what we have done so far. So everything is starting to have shape. So what we have here is sales report, current month, previous month. So I'm going to click on T on my keyboard and I'm going to type sales report. I'm going to increase the font up to an 18 and leave it as bold. I'm going to duplicate this and type current month while reducing the font to a 12 and also keeping it at regular. And I'm going to zoom in. So no, let's remove this. Click on R to create a rectangle. Change the rectangle color to this. select the both of them and hit Shift A on your keyboard, then increase the spacing to an 8. Do this, duplicate this, and then write this as previous month. Then go ahead to, let's say, reduce the opacity. So it means that in this sales report, the graph that we're going to have here, wherever you see this shade of color, it represents the current month. Whenever you see this other shade of color, it represents the other month. So I'm going to go ahead and put our line. I'm going to click on L on my keyboard, and I'm going to hold on to Shift key, and I'm going to drag it. So we're going to be using the color that we have been using, the off-white, of black color, this brown color thing. So this is what I saved it at, right? So let's try and deattach the variables and then reduce it for a bit. Okay, so this line, I'm going to create it into 10 places. So I'm going to hold on to Option key. Once I see the mouse divide into 2, I'm going to use my mouse and drag it out. Right, so I'm going to do it in 3 places. Select the first one, hold on to Shift and select all of it, create an auto layout. Right, so I'm going to go ahead and select one of the lines, click Ctrl C, that's Command C, and click Ctrl V. Let me do that again. I'm going to select one of the lines here, Command C, Command V. I'm going to do it into 10 places. 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Then I'm going to increase, select the auto layout, this frame that I created, and increase the spacing to be a 62. Alright, so I'm going to write the numbers that I have here. I'm going to click T on my keyboard, and I'm going to write 100. This demonstrates maybe like a trend, how much it was before, you know. Let me write a 95 here, but let's change the, I think this is 12, this is regular. So, but let's change the color. Let's change it to black. You know, we don't use black. So no, let's give it the same color that this one has. This our kind of off brown color. But I think we reduce the opacity here. Let's increase the opacity to 100. So I'm going to go ahead and create an auto, select the both of them, create an auto layout, double click on one and click on Command C and start pasting, Command V. So we're going to do this into how many, let's give it a spacing of an 18. How many numbers do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 numbers. 2, 4, 6. That's okay. Let's bring it down a bit. So we're getting there. Another thing I would like us to do, this is this spacing, I gave it an 18. Let's give it a spacing of 20. But I feel the lines are a bit too long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and select all the lines. I'm holding on to Control while I click in this layers panel here. That's Command on my Mac. Then I am going to reduce the length to 192. Then I'm going to go ahead and adjust this. Select the frame itself and make adjustments. I'm going to select the both of them, click on Shift A, create an auto layout, and the spacing between them can be a 14, which is fine. Then I'm going to click on T and I'm going to go and add my January, February, March, April. And then I want to detach the same as I did and increase the opacity for this. I'm using a font 12 and I'm using the width of regular. I'm going to do this, let's say, let's just duplicate, create an auto layout, select the first one, Command C, Command V. How many months do I have here? I think we're good. Let's give this spacing of 38. Let's remove one and give this spacing of 40. So let's not remove one, let's add 2 more because it's 10, right? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Right, so let's try to increase the font. So for the spacing between these lines here, this line, let's give it a 60. Let's increase this to a 40, 44. Now let's give it a 41. 42 we do. I think we're good. So you can fill out this section, add January, February, March, and all of that. So the next thing I want to show you how I achieved is this graph showing trends here. What I did was to go to this tool here, this creation tool, select pen, and I started. But because it's on auto layout, it's not going to allow us to make that adjustment into it, right? So that's why you're seeing it like this. I'm going to click on done. So what I'm going to do so that I'll be able to make adjustment into this frame is to ungroup it. Don't worry, it's going to stay the way it is. I'm going to ungroup it. Then I'll group it back. I can group it back when I'm done. I'm going to go ahead and click L on my keyboard. Not L. I'm going to go P. You can P activate the pen tool. I'm just going to click here. I'm just showing trends in movement and all of that. Okay, so once I'm done, I'm going to click on done, go back and select it. Once I select it, I'm going to hold on to my command or control button. I'm going to double click in it, double click on some edges that I want smoothened out. All right, so what I mostly did, I did more of zigzag at that point, but I'm going to change the color here. But you get what we're doing, right? You get it. So I'm going to do it again, but maybe this time around I'll get it more. I'll paste here, come down here. Oh no, it went down. Yes, that's gone up again. Yes, we've gone down. Oh no, we're going down. We're down. All right, so this is what I did. I clicked on done. So because it had these sharp edges, right, what I did was I came back to it and double clicked on it to take it back to edit mode, held on to shift, just touched around that, held on shift and clicked on some of these edges here, clicked on the edges here that I want to be smoothened, then I'm going to go ahead and select the column. Remember, we're trying to show the trend between previous months and current months, right? So this particular one will be, this graph here will be showing me for previous month. So I'm going to go ahead and reduce the opacity so that it will reflect the color that came with the previous month here. All right, so this is what we did. It's as simple as that. All right, the next thing that I achieved is this customer acquisition center. I'm going to duplicate this here and type customer acquisition, click R on my keyboard, and I'm going to draw a rectangle. So for the width of this rectangle, I'm going to leave it at 18, while the height, I'm going to leave it at 192. All right, so I want the bottom side to have this sharp edge, while the upper side here to have a corner radius. So I'm going to click on the independent corners here, and I'm going to only create a corner radius for these sections here. So that's the top left corner radius and the top right corner radius, right? So I'm going to go ahead, select this one, then click Command C, Command V to create a duplicate on it. I'll make sure that I've selected the first one, that's the one on top of it, the one I just created now, and I'm going to drag it down. But while dragging it down, right, I don't want it to have a corner radius, this particular one, so I'm going to give it a 0. But I am going to go ahead and change the color. Then I'm going to do the same thing, just drag one a bit, remove the corner radius here, and then give it another color. Can give it this color, while this one can have this somewhat of a dark blue color. So here I'm going to select all of it, and I'm going to right click and create a group selection. Then I'm going to go ahead. Okay, so this group selection did not work, so just make sure you select all and then create a group selection. Then hold on to your option key, alt key, and duplicate. So I want it to have different heights, so I'm going to create the drop down on this second group and find the first frame that I created, and then increase the height a bit. I might just change the colors randomly, so this one should take the blue here, blue that I gave this one should take the purple that I gave the first one. Right, so this is really how you can just achieve all of that. So maybe there are 4 items that we're trying to analyze here, 4 items. So they should actually have 4 colors. 4 colors. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this first one. Just same flow that we did before and give it a different color. For this purple, we're reducing the opacity. Okay, let's not keep it there. Let's give it a different color, just any color, random colors, and make sure that we remove the corner radius for this one. I'm just going to go ahead and duplicate some of this, reduce the height for some. But while working on this, you can just reduce the height from this one to show that one is doing better at this point, you know. So they might not stay in the same. Okay, so I think we're good. I'm going to select all of them and tidy up. So they're in the same space now. But what you can do is to create this uniqueness that I created here, different colors at different points, to show this Facebook percentage, Instagram the percentage, and all of that. So what I'm going to do today is to give you like a right, but before I give you a take-home assignment, let me show you what I did here, because there were indicators here that indicated points. So I just clicked on O and I created a shape here. I just fill the top with a different color. I did the same thing here, and I reduced the opacity for this one, and that is how I achieved them across. Now I have another video where I created some was shape or just like this, right? You can watch this video. I'm going to put the link in the bio. You can use that concept to create this section. Use same concept and create the section. Then go ahead and fill up this particular section here. All right, so this is me on Instagram, Pamela the designer. You can send me a link to your Figma, to the Figma tutorial. I can review and provide feedback for you. And please, if you find this video helpful, please subscribe to my YouTube channel to encourage me to continue putting up UI design tutorials for people that are just starting up and also want to upskill. Thank you for coming to today's Design with Pam series. See you next class.